evening and welcome to the news tonight. Glad you could join us this Saturday evening here at Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and let's start with the headlines. On Chartered Accountants Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails GST as a historic taxation reform. New tax regime will be a vast improvement on the previous system, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. A day after the announcement of the GST regime, traders hold protests in different parts of the country over anomalies and complexities. Many wholesale and retail outlets across the states remain shut. President Pranab Mukherjee asks countrymen to uphold democratic values at the commemoration of the National Herald publication. Congress President expresses concern at the growing intolerance in the country. Two terrorists, including a top Lashkar commander, are killed after encounter between security forces and militants in Kashmir's Anantnag district. Two civilians are also among the casualties during the cordon and search operation. And Chinese President Xi Jinping tells Hong Kong that efforts to challenge Beijing are absolutely impermissible. Clashes break out between pro-democracy and pro-China supporters on a day marking 20 years of Chinese rule. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given a stern warning against corruption and black money. Addressing an event organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in New Delhi, the Prime Minister said that more steps will be taken soon to tackle the menace. He also lauded the goods and services tax and said that it will promote transparency.
Hailing the goods and services tax as a historic taxation reform, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said it will help in the seamless movement of goods throughout the country. He said this as he participated in an interaction with chief ministers and chartered accountants in the national capital.
विदेश में काले धन के खिलाफ कार्रवाई का क्या असर हो रहा है, इसकी गवाही स्विस बैंक के ताजा आंकड़ों से मिल रही है। स्विस बैंक ने बताया भारतीयों द्वारा जमा राशि अब तक के रिकॉर्ड में सबसे नीचे स्तर पर पहुंच गई है।
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who was also present at the event, said that recently India has emerged as a growing market and a strong economy. Due to this, the world was looking towards India. Jaitley also said that the government must grab any opportunity to bring in financial reforms. However, he did question the protests by traders against GST.
कुछ इंटरिम जो मध्यस्थ हैं, चाहे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में हैं या ट्रेड में हैं, वो तो बर्डन पास ऑन करते हैं। कंज्यूमर कहीं देश में शिकायत नहीं कर रहा, क्योंकि जो बास्केट ऑफ टैक्सेशन है ओवरऑल उसको हमने और रीजनेबल करने की कोशिश की है। तो एक तो ट्रेड के लोग क्यों शिकायत कर रहे हैं? ट्रेड ने तो अपनी जेब से पैसा नहीं देना, ये तो कंज्यूमर पे जाना है।
GST is the biggest taxation reform undertaken in the country after independence. With its implementation, the entire country has merged to form a single market. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
But commercial activities virtually came to a standstill on Saturday as traders all across the country staged a protest against the implementation of the GST. Traders are angry at the hurried manner in which GST is being implemented.
Protests against the goods and services tax broke out in different parts of the country on Saturday over anomalies and complexities in the new tax regime. Business in Kolkata virtually came to a standstill as markets, wholesale hubs and even some local grocery shops downed shutters to protest against the implementation of GST. Traders in Agra too staged a protest. The traders are demanding partial or total rollback of GST in certain categories.
कि ये जल्दी पैदा हुआ बच्चा है, इस बच्चे को 9 महीने में पैदा होना चाहिए था, जो 7 महीने में हो गया है। ये जो कल जो उद्घाटन किया है नरेंद्र मोदी ने और जेटली ने, जो उद्घाटन कल किया है वो हिंदुस्तान की 85 लाख व्यापारी और उद्योगपतियों को गुलाम बनाने के लिए किया है।
Most of the shops and other business establishments were shut across Kashmir to protest against the implementation of GST in the state, which is likely to happen soon. The shutdown call was given by Kashmir traders and manufacturers. The traders and the opposition parties claim the new tax regime would lead to erosion of the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. To maintain law and order, authorities imposed restrictions in parts of Srinagar. Most of the shops, wholesale and retail outlets in Patna too remained closed.
सरकार सिर्फ यह सिद्ध करना चाह रही है कि हम काला धन बंद कर रहे हैं और लोगों के लिए सैलरीकरण कर रहे हैं, जबकि वर्तमान परिस्थिति में जो व्यापारी है वो मरने के लिए तैयार है। व्यापारी की ऐसी ही स्थिति हो गई जैसे हम लोगों ने अपने आप को जंजीरों से जकड़ के रखा हुआ है। हम व्यापार करने की स्थिति में नहीं रहेगा व्यापारी, तो वो कमाएगा क्या और खाएगा क्या।
Meanwhile, markets which used to be otherwise crowded throughout the day wore a deserted look since morning in Madhya Pradesh's Indore city. Merchants and dealers of the city are protesting against the complex nature of the tax regime. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, as the government announced the launch of India's biggest ever tax reform in the 70 years since independence, general public remain divided about its impact on economy and themselves. Take a look.
Eatables का सस्ता हो गया, काफ़ी eatables सस्ता है, चीनी चाय ये सब सस्ता है, और बाकी जो कॉस्मेटिक्स वो महंगा है, तो कॉस्मेटिक्स भी वो भी आना चाहिए, सस्ता होना चाहिए।
जीएसटी लागू होने से काफ़ी अच्छा इम्पैक्ट पड़ रहा है, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें सस्ती हो रही हैं। हाँ, कुछ चीज़ें महंगी, बट हाँ डेली नीड की जो चीज़ें होती हैं जैसे ग्रॉसरी आइटम्स, वेजिटेबल्स एंड स्पेशली जो स्टेपल्स आइटम्स है, ग्रेन्स हो गए, तो काफ़ी अच्छा स्कीम आ रहा है, काफ़ी अच्छे ऑफर्स आ रहे हैं और काफ़ी बेनिफिट मिल रहा है। एज अ कस्टमर आई एम वेरी हैप्पी।
जो नॉर्मल घर की हैं वो तो सस्ती मिली हैं, जैसे कि अपनी हार्पिक क्लीनर वगैरह हो गया, और एक इसका था रिंगो कंटेनर और रूह अफ़ज़ा शरबत था, उस पर 6% ही जीएसटी लगा है।
दिल्ली से खरीदना है कि मुंबई जा रहे हैं, अरे नहीं यार मुंबई सस्ता, वहाँ से लेके आ जाओ, तो वो एक हेडक नहीं है कि आप कहीं से भी ऑल ओवर इंडिया आप कहीं से भी खरीद सकते हैं।
जब भी एक पूरा टैक्स लगेगा एक ही बार, तभी उससे बहुत अच्छा होगा, हमारा तो यही विश्वास है।
Commemorative publication of National Herald in the National Capital on Saturday. Addressing the audience, the President urged countrymen to uphold the democratic values of the country. Congress President Sonia Gandhi, on the other hand, expressed concern over rising intolerance in the country.
With the transformational characteristics,
President Pranab Mukherjee on Saturday said that only secular and democratic values could sustain this diverse country. He added that instead of practicing vigilantism, Indians should be vigilant about safeguarding democracy. President Mukherjee said, since independence, democracy has come under pressure several times.
Freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might. These words may have been written in 1939, but has its application and relevance for all time whenever freedom is in danger.
Addressing the event, Congress President Sonia Gandhi also targeted the ruling BJP. She said that those who did not sacrifice for independence are now trying to disturb the ethos of the country. She also expressed concern over growing intolerance in the country.
By rising intolerance, by malevolent forces that tell Indians what they cannot eat, who they cannot love, what they cannot say, indeed, what thoughts they cannot hold. And all this is being encouraged by a culture of vigilante violence actively supported by those who are supposed to enforce the law.
Along with former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and senior Congress leaders, the publication's editor-in-chief Nilam Mishra was also present at the occasion of the release of the commemorative issue of National Herald. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Top Lashkar terrorist Bashir Lashkari and his aide were killed in a major gun battle with security forces in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district on Saturday. This is less than a fortnight after Lashkari led an ambush that killed SHOs, Firoz Dar and 5 other policemen. Here's a report.
A major gun battle in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag ended on Saturday after security forces killed 2 terrorists, including Lashkar commander Bashir Lashkari. Lashkari and his group were involved in the brutal killing of SHO Firoz Ahmad Dar and 5 other policemen in Achawal area of Kashmir on June 16th.
Militants have been neutralized. One of them, Bashir Lashkar, and he was involved in martyring 6 policemen. Bashir Lashkar was a criminal of highest order. I compliment the policemen and officers of J&K police and security forces for doing a commendable job.
2 civilians also died while 2 others were injured in the crossfire between security forces and terrorists who were holed up inside a house in the area.
Morning, one lady was brought dead to the hospital. She got hit in a crossfire, and I heard now that one more boy has come to his injuries in Skim Saura. He also got hit in the crossfire.
Earlier in the day, security forces had launched a cordon search operation in Bhatpura village after a tip-off that at least 2 terrorists were hiding in a house. The operation turned into an encounter after the terrorists used residents as human shields and opened fire on security forces. However, the civilians were rescued before the final assault was launched against the ultras.
They had taken 17 civilians as a hostage, and J&K police and security forces successfully rescued them.
Kashmir has seen a rise in militant activities with repeated attacks on security forces and police convoys in recent weeks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And ahead of the upcoming presidential polls, NDA's candidate Ramnath Kovind and opposition's Meera Kumar are taking their campaigns across the country. After Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and Punjab, Kovind started his southern outreach program. In Chennai, he met former Chief Minister of Puducherry N. Rangaswamy. He also met the MLAs and MPs from both the factions of the AIDMK. The opposition candidate, meanwhile, Meera Kumar, who kicked off a campaign from Gujarat, is in Bengaluru. She met former Prime Minister and JDS leader H.D. Devegowda, and she'll leave for Puducherry on the 2nd of July and later in the day proceed to Kerala. And here are more updates from across the country in Nationwide. The Election Commission launched a special nationwide drive to enroll eligible young citizens in the age group of 18 to 19 years. The Commission will also weed out the names of dead voters from the list. It has urged all political parties to help make the drive successful. The drive will conclude on the 31st of July. The shutdown in Darjeeling entered the 17th day on Saturday after an indefinite bandh was called on the 15th of June. Security forces were in high alert and internet services are suspended. Police and security forces patrol the streets with barricades placed in front of government offices and the entry and exit points towards the city. India once again called on Pakistan to grant consular access to its national Kulbhushan Jadhav, a former naval officer who is facing death sentence over espionage and sabotage activities. The Hague-based International Court of Justice had restrained Pakistan from executing Jadhav until the duration of the trial in its court. Both countries also exchanged lists of nationals lodged in each other's jails. A quick break here, but up next, there's more news from Pakistan, and also we'll get you all the top international stories.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela affectionately known as Madiba, was South Africa's first democratically elected president, an international peacemaker and statesman, and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Through a long career as an activist, Mandela was a crusader for equal rights for South Africa's black majority. Having undergone frequent imprisonment, in 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life in jail, charged with sabotage, treason, and violent conspiracy. He narrowly escaped the gallows. He was released in 1990, having initiated talks with South African President de Klerk towards ending apartheid in the country. Mandela was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1993 for his efforts. In April 1994, the Mandela-led African National Congress won South Africa's first elections by universal suffrage. And Mandela was sworn in as president of the country's first multi-ethnic government. He retired from the presidency in 1999 and from public life in 2004. Nelson Mandela died on December 5, 2013, from a recurring lung infection.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Rai and you're watching Constitutionally Yours.
National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, it granted injunction order. There should be a separation of the Scheduled Tribe Commission.
National Commission for Scheduled Tribe has to be more active.
How the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes deals with the cases of atrocity.
National Commission itself does not have the implementation power.
Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Hampi, the austere, grandiose site, was the capital of the last great Hindu kingdom of Vijayanagar. Enriched by the cotton and the spice trade, Hampi was one of the most beautiful cities of the medieval world. Its palaces and Dravidian temples were admired by Arab, Portuguese and Italian travelers. Built between 1336 to 1570 AD, the city was pillaged over a period of 6 months before being abandoned and is now one of the most striking ruins of the world.
Welcome back. Let's get you some news from Pakistan now. And Pakistan has banned Tehreek-e-Azadi Jammu and Kashmir, a front for terrorist Hafiz Saeed's Jamaat-ud-Dawa. This amid international pressure to act against terror outfits and their funding. Tehreek-e-Azadi gained prominence as a front of the Jamaat-ud-Dawa when it held rallies days after Hafiz Saeed was put under house arrest for 90 days in Lahore. Just a week before his house arrest, Saeed had indicated that he would be launching Tehreek-e-Azadi. The JOD front was put on the list of proscribed organizations on the 8th of June, a fortnight before the meeting of the Financial Action Task Force in Spain. JOD has now called a meeting on the 3rd of July to discuss the ban on its affiliate group. Chinese President Xi Jinping, Hong Kong's new leader Lam Cheng-Ngor on Saturday with a stark warning that Beijing won't tolerate any challenge to its authority. He said it on a day that also marks the 20th anniversary of the city's return from Britain to China. People in Hong Kong have been demanding full democracy, with recent protests even calling for complete independence from Beijing. But Xi Jinping gave a strong warning amid concerns in the city over what is being seen as increased meddling by Beijing.
始终准确把握一国和两制的关系，在具体实践中，必须牢固树立一国意识，坚守一国原则，正确处理特别行政区和中央的关系。任何危害国家主权安全、挑战中央权力和香港特别行政区基本法权威，利用香港对内地进行渗透破坏的活动，都是对底线的触碰，都是绝不能允许的。与此同时，在一国的基础上，两制的关系应该也完全可以做到和谐相处、相互促进。
Meanwhile, tens of thousands of protesters gathered in downtown Hong Kong for an annual march calling for democracy. Crowds assembled in the afternoon in a sprawling park named after Britain's Queen Victoria, demanding China's President Xi Jinping allow universal suffrage. They marched in sweltering heat through the streets blocked off for the event by the police, with thousands of officers deployed along a route ending at the city's government headquarters. And here are more international news updates in Global Buzz. A gunman opened fire inside a New York City hospital, injuring 6 and killing 1 person before killing himself. The assailant was identified as a doctor working at the same hospital who was allegedly dismissed on sexual harassment charges in 2015. US President Donald Trump has called the North Korean regime brutal and reckless. He was addressing a press conference with South Korean President Moon Jae-in at the White House. Trump also warned North Korea that his patience has ended and any advances from their side will be met with a stern response. The Indonesian police committed to reinforcing security for officers after a suspected Islamist militant stabbed 2 officers near the police headquarters in Jakarta. The attacker was in fact shot dead, and the wounded officers were hospitalized. This is the second such attack in a week. Earlier this week, another police officer was stabbed to death. On to some sports news now. In sports, Mr. Vijay Goyal felicitated badminton champion Kidambi Srikanth and chief national coach P. Gopichand. Srikanth entered the top 10 of the latest Badminton World Federation rankings last week after winning back-to-back 2 titles at the Indonesia Super Series Premier and Australian Open Super Series. He is now the only Indian to make it to the top 10 men's singles rankings in the world. The sports minister also assured the sportspersons that government will provide all possible help to them. And in cricket, India defeated West Indies by 93 runs in the 3rd ODI at Antigua to take an unassailable lead in the 5-match series. Put into bat first, India struggled early on, losing opener Shikhar Dhawan and captain Virat Kohli inside 10 overs. But Ajinkya Rahane held fort at the other end with a gritty 72 before MS Dhoni and Kedar Jadhav pushed the visitors' total to 251 for 4. Dhoni remained not out on 78, while Jadhav hit quick-fire 40 runs from 26 balls. In reply, the hosts struggled from the start and were reduced to 87 for 5 in the 20th over. Rovman Powell and Jason Mohammed added for the 6th wicket, but the resistance was soon broken as West Indies were bundled out for 158 in 38.1 overs. For India, spinners Ravichandran Ashwin and Kuldeep Yadav bagged 3 wickets each. India now lead the 5-match series 2-0. The 4th ODI will be played on Sunday at the same venue. That's all we have for you in the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.